Keep on riding with us as we continue to broadcast the balance and defend the discourse from the Hip Hop Weekly studios. Welcome back to Civic Cipher. I am your host, Ramses Ja.
He is Ramses Ja. I am Q Ward. You are tuned into Civic Cipher.
Yes, you are. And we'd appreciate you sticking around. We are going to point out some Republican hypocrisies this half of the show. Just a few. There's a lot to choose from. And I know that there is a such thing as hypocrisy with Democrats too, but the Republican hypocrisies at present are glaringly conspicuous and extremely harmful, and they are shaping outcomes for people in ways that we feel you need to know about. And so while it's, fair to pick on both parties, we feel like we got to point out some stuff that's that you need to know about again. So stick around for that and a whole lot more. But before we get there, let's discuss BABA, Becoming a Better Ally, BABA. And today's BABA is sponsored by Friends of the Movement. You can sign up for the free voter wallet from FOTMglobal.com to support Black businesses and allied businesses, as well as make an impact with your spending. Again, that's FOTMglobal.com. And we want you to check out a book. It's a really cool book. We got a chance to talk to the author for those that subscribe to the podcast.
Indeed.
CivicCipher.com if you want to check out the podcast. Because we do more than just radio. We got a chance to talk to this author, and she's amazing. She's incredible, and she's wrote an incredible book. It's called Resist: How a Century of Young Black Activists Shaped America. It's by Rita Omoka. Sorry. In Resist, Rita charts the last century of civil rights activism from the early years of renowned activist Ella Baker and others she inspired, to the first glimpse of allyship in the Bates 7 and a renewed examination of the Black Panther Party, all the way to the current generation of young Black revolutionaries who walked American cities in the wake of the murders of countless Black people. Rita also draws on her own experiences as a Black immigrant living in America, offering a unique and insightful perspective on this ongoing struggle for justice. Rendered with empathy and care, Resist ties these pivotal stories together, and so many more that are lesser known, into an essential and gripping narrative of resilience and unity, and how young Black activists redefined American history. You can check this book out anywhere books are sold, but for those that live a life of convenience, Amazon does carry the book. Again, it's called Resist: How a Century of Young Black Activists Shape America. For those who are Black activists or Black people or allies or allied activists, I feel like this book is an important read. Again, the author's name is Rita Omoka, and we want you to read it. Thanks for being a better ally. All right. So we got a few stories here. We'll try to burn through them just because we got a few boxes to check. First up, this is from Kendrick, Idaho. This comes from the Associated Press.
Ironic city name.
Isn't that crazy? Shout out Kendrick one time. Compton Kendrick. Tensions rose during a bipartisan forum after an audience question about discrimination reportedly led to an Ohio state senator angrily telling a Native American candidate to go back where you came from. Republican Senator Dan Foreman left the event early after the outburst and later denied making any racist comments in a Facebook post. He did not respond to a voice message the Associated Press sent seeking a comment. Trish Carter Goodhart, a Democratic candidate for the House District 6 seat and member of the Nez Perce tribe, said the blow-up left her shaken and thinking about security needs for future public events. It also forced some tough conversations with her two young children, Avery and Lavender, who were in attendance. She said the state hate crime laws are weak and noted that the neo-Nazi group Aryan Nations made northern Idaho its home base for many years. She also talked about being the only candidate there who was a person of color. In his Facebook post, Foreman called the incident a, quote, quintessential display of race baiting, unquote, and said the Democratic attendees made personal attacks and proclaimed Idaho to be a racist state. Quote, where here's a newsflash for the lefties out there. There is no systemic racism in America or Idaho, Foreman said. Idaho is a great state, the best in the union, unquote. So, obviously, this is problematic. Now, there are people who are on the right, people who have insulated themselves from the issues that we're dealing with, people that feel like this is not commonplace, that will look at this and say, well, this is an isolated incident. You're picking the story that suits your narrative. And one of the things that we've been discussing on this show in recent weeks is the Trump effect, right? And we have, I promise you, there's so many stories. It takes so long to produce this show. It's quicker to make the show than it is to produce it, because we have to cut through so much news, okay? But I think that this story is very telling of the type of people who now feel empowered, who now feel emboldened, okay? First off, go back to where you came from is a racist statement on its face.
No matter who you're talking to.
Thank you, Q. That is flat racist, okay? Here's the hypocrisy. He didn't say it to a Mexican immigrant like he probably thought. He said it to a person whose people lived here before him.
Whose people lived here before his ancestors.
Before everybody. Talk to me, Q.
Of course they lived
Say
there
that right.
him.
Say it the right way, Q.
But
go ahead.
Him, not even most likely, him absolutely the child of an immigrant. Like absolutely.
Keep going, Q.
Telling a person that's aboriginal to this land to go back to where we are. It's laughable.
That's why I'm laughing.
It's laughable now. When you first read this, I almost flipped the table over out of anger.
Yeah, I know.
America has no systemic racism, and neither does the home of the Aryan nation. Got it.
Yep. Okay.
It's all of our imagination. We're always race baiting, and we're always playing the victim. I just figured that out right now. You can go ahead.
So watch this. If a person like him can dish that out, you would think they would be able to take it, right? Well, maybe I should go back to where I came from. Okay? But let me show you the mental gap here. There's a person like that, even if he was confronted with something like that, would simply say, well, I'm from Idaho, the great state of Idaho. Okay? No, well, where are your people from? Well, my people are from Idaho, 4 generations deep. Okay? Go back to where your people's people came from. Well, we came over here from Scotland. Yeah, go back to Scotland if you don't like it. But he's saying it to somebody who's like, yo, my people was the first people in Idaho. We didn't even call it Idaho. It's our land. Still, fam. I don't care about no documents and treaties and pieces of paper. Y'all stole what belongs to me. That means it's still mine. I just haven't retaken possession. But if you want to get into the nitty gritty of who needs to go back where, I'm already there. Yeah. And the fact that you thought that I was somebody else just shows how racist you are. And if you're claiming Idaho, then I would argue that if Idaho elected you, you're giving the country insight into just exactly how much it exists in Idaho. Now, I've been to Idaho. I'm not trying to pick on Idaho. I know that there's good people in Idaho. But there's also foul people in Idaho.
There's good people everywhere, but there's clearly, as we just saw, foul people everywhere, including Idaho.
Man, listen. And I used to wonder what was up in the northern part of Idaho, because I only been to like Boise, right? And now that I know that it's Aryan Nation, I'm like, fam, that makes a lot of sense. But that's just one thing, okay? That's, people listening might be like, okay, well, one thing, that's a state senator or a state, a representative or whatever. That's small potatoes, man. Talk to me, Ramses. What is this Republican hypocrisy? Okay.
Oh, so you mean the person of European descent telling the Aboriginal person whose ancestors, for no matter how far you go back, trace
before there was humans
to here,
or once there was humans, they came here. This is the first humans.
That's not enough hypocrisy, is what you're saying.
Oh no, there's plenty.
Okay.
There's plenty. Yeah. So because people they like to pick us apart, especially on YouTube. They love to pick us apart.
Yeah, that's not enough hypocrisy. Is what I'm saying. Okay.
Your show is about allyship and bringing people. Absolutely, and part of that is calling out people's hypocrisy, calling out people's shortcomings. You need to be a full-fledged human being and you're not acting like it, and we got to hold you accountable. Trust me, just because I'm about allyship does not make me a soft man. I am not that.
Yeah, by ally, that didn't translate to sucker.
But, you know, I do like to have conversations based in peace and based in growth and opportunity, but we also need to be prepared to have challenging conversations, and that we do quite well. Both me and Q. I'll speak for you. Next up, Hunter Biden. Let's talk about that. Okay?
Shall we?
We shall. Hunter Biden is a scandal. This man pardoned his son, right? And that's really not the point that I want to make here. Because however you feel about Joe Biden pardoning his son, that's how you feel. And if it's right, it's right. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. I will go on record saying, if my son did the worst stuff ever, and I could pardon my son and deal with my child on my own, rather than let some system deal with my own child, I would do it 10 times out of 10. And if you don't, that means one of two things: that you are lying, or you don't love your son. That's it. You can't convince me.
Wait.
Go ahead, doctor.
Because I'm your brother and I can't let you get that off.
Go ahead.
Or you're white and you know the system will handle your child with some grace and some tenderness in ways that we know they won't.
Okay.
And in this case, I've seen Stephen A. Smith and our brother Charlemagne the God call out President Biden because he lied and said that he wouldn't do this.
Okay.
And by doing that, he gave them, and by them I don't mean Stephen A. and Charlemagne, I mean those who oppose the decision, some justifiable fodder, some justifiable grounds to stand on. Even if it's not a scandal, you're a liar. I hate that he did that, because that was moral grandstanding to me. He was trying to point out that if I were a Republican, I would absolutely pardon my son. And since I'm not, I won't. But once he realized the people who would be in charge of bringing forth justice and the consequences of his son's actions would be Republicans, he moonwalked
back
on that I won't pardon him. Because he realized unfairly the type of punishment that was going to be brought onto his son just because his last name is Biden. And just to give people some nuance into that.
I appreciate that, because now here's the thing. I'm a father. I deal with my own sons. That's my legacy. More than it's anything else, my sons is my legacy. Right? I only have sons, so as far as I know.
But Joe Biden did lie. And say that he wouldn't pardon his son. So why are you calling this hypocrisy, sir?
I'll make the point. But while we're here, it is a lie. And you're not wrong saying that. People that say that are not wrong, because it's a lie. When you say something, you do something else, that's a lie. I don't want to change that. That can be chronicled in the narrative. But I think there's probably a better way to say that. Maybe a reversal of a decision, because a lie to me feels like I'm misleading you. I think in the moment when he made his initial decision, he perhaps intended for that to work.
So I have to pause button again.
I don't know, but I'm just guessing.
I don't know either. Okay. But the reason I'm pressing pause is because what you know about people that listen to this show that are opposed to us, and ladies and gentlemen, yes, there are people that listen to this show just to hate us. A bunch of them.
It's a real thing. Shout out to y'all.
They will try to circle this rhetoric you're about to use and tell you that that's why this isn't hypocrisy. That's why I tried to stop you before you even went there and point you back to why this is hypocrisy. Because someone else lied. And I believe they were intentionally lying when they said
it.
And I'm not about to let them use what you're saying now.
I see what you're doing.
To try to say that maybe that's the same thing that happened with him. Nonsense.
So watch this. So what Q is getting at is Donald Trump ran a whole campaign saying that he had no idea what Project 2025 was. That was not his plan for the government, that he had something called Agenda 47, and that was going to be it. and he doesn't know these people, and he knows some of these people, or however he like tiptoed and danced around it, right? But he gave, every time it came up, as strong an assurance as he could. We knew he was lying the whole time. Wow, I don't know how this worked on anybody, but we knew that it was going to be Project 2025. He can just change the name of it, or just do 90% of it, or whatever, and it's still Project 2025 in terms of how it affects us. And when you look at his matter of fact, I'll just read.
Please.
This is from afge.org. Okay, that's the American Federation of Government Employees. In an attempt to distance himself from the unpopular plan, Trump had said, quote, "They've been told officially, legally, in every way that we have nothing to do with Project 2025. They know it, but they bring it up anyway. They bring up every single thing that you can bring up. Every one of them was false." In fact, his campaign said that they would ban people involved in Project 2025 from his administration. But now that the election is over, the mask is off, and Trump nominated several architects of Project 2025 to have a key role in his administration. All right, if you want to read the rest of that again, go to afge.org. That's the American Federation of Government Employees. And you can see, .org, by the way, and you can see the whole write-up. Now, we knew the whole time that he was lying. Now, if it's about having some fidelity to your word, the outrage over Joe Biden seems, at least in my estimation, less manipulative and less intentional to me than what Donald Trump is doing with Project 2025. And if the fidelity to the truth is what you're standing on, I need to see some outrage here.
However,
and because I don't, that to me is hypocrisy, epitome.
I would prefer that you assume that they were both lying through their teeth.
Let's get it. I
don't even want to talk about the fidelity to the truth or intentions.
I'm okay with that.
Because we don't know either. I don't know Joe Biden,
I
ain't about to ride for him like that. That's why I be weirded out when y'all ride for Donald Trump. Y'all don't know that man. I do not know Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He could have been full of it when he said it. Mm-hmm. So if that's what you're mad at, let's say he was lying from the jump.
Just keep that energy right now.
That energy right now, because this dude was for sure lying from the jump.
Yeah. Okay. Now, let's say, for instance, you're like, Ramses, you're making leaps. Q, what are you so mad at? This is just a couple of little things. You know, politicians, they politic. That's what they do. Right?
Politicians do be politicking.
But listen, let's say that's how you feel, and you think me and Q are in here tripping, right? How about this? I'm going to share something. This is from the New Republic via Yahoo News. All right. You probably missed it because it created barely a ripple in the media. But last Friday, a federal judge appointed by Donald Trump struck down one of President Biden's most pro-worker policies, his effort to ensure that far more Americans benefit from overtime pay. Around 4 million salaried workers with lower incomes are the losers in this decision, yet it generated startlingly few news stories and no outrage missives from leading columnists. Watching all this unfold brings to mind a now forgotten controversy. Remember when Oliver Anthony, the little-known folk singer, went viral in 2023 with his song lamenting the plight of working people imposed by the Richmond north of Richmond. That's the name of the song, I'm assuming. Donald Trump and Republicans claim the bearded, red-haired Southerner as one of their own, a veritable bard of MAGA country who'd crafted the ultimate right-wing populist ballad of protest aimed directly at elites. Quote, "This is the anthem of the forgotten Americans," gushed Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Media commentary endlessly analyzed the song as a cry of anguish straight from the blue-collar heartland, one that elite liberals should take to heart as a sign of how badly they'd failed regular Americans. Here's another forgotten detail about Anthony's song for you to contemplate. It was about overtime pay. To oversimplify, bosses have reclassified many of these workers as managers, exempting them from federal overtime protections. The Biden rule would make them eligible. Guess who managed to block the rule that would have provided those people with relief? MAGA Republicans allied with business interests. That's who. So, I know on this show and a lot of other stages that we've been on around the country, we've effectively said they're lying to you. They lie to you almost every time. And they somehow make you think that they're doing this for you, that they know what it's like for you, that they understand your plight, and you can't see it. That man is literally a billionaire. He was born wealthy. He has never, ever, 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 ever struggled. In fact, he's only gotten wealthier because you've struggled, or people like you have struggled more for him. His whole story is a story of personal enrichment.
Exploitation, oppression, racism, bigotry, sexual scandal, sexual assault. I can go on.
You know what? One of the stories that we cut, because we only had time for 3, one of the stories we cut was about Donald Trump making some promises to some steel people in like Pennsylvania or something like that. And we cut that story. So I'm not prepared to like articulate it, but look it up. It's there. And these people are up in arms because he reversed on that. He's not even the president yet. And it's the bait and switch for me.
It's effective. He knows that it works, and he knows that he won't be held accountable by those same people. You guys won't even be mad enough. You won't even be mad at him when he proves to not be true. You'll figure out a way to make it not his fault, and somehow whatever he does is going to eventually work out for your best interest. Like this gotcha moment that everybody thinks is going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
This find out moment that everybody thinks is going to happen. It's not. They will make excuses for and apologize for that man unto perpetuity.
In the meantime, we suffer under the Trump effect. And so we call out the hypocrisy when we see it. And we'll leave it there. As always, I'd like to thank you for tuning into Civic Cipher. You know, we got a long road ahead of us, but we'll be here with you. I go by the name Ramses Ja.
I go by the name Q Ward.
And we definitely do appreciate you listening. Even the folks that disagree, you know, try to pick us apart in the comments, but we're resilient folks. And eventually you're going to hear something that jogs you out of that mental fog.
Leave me alone in the comments. I'm not here for it. Have a good day.
For those that aren't tapped in or plugged into us, follow us on all social media. We're at Civic Cipher. You can hit us on YouTube at Civic Cipher as well. Hit the website, civiccipher.com. Submit any questions, any topics you want us to cover. You can make a donation. The show's growing. Continues to grow. We got some exciting news coming next year as well. We're anxious to share with you, but stick around. We'll share that when the time is right. Download this and any previous episode as a podcast, and keep on rocking with us. And until next week, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.